Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC and this is a match preview for Chelsea versus Newcastle United. This is the series on the channel where I'll be previewing every match of this season, laying out my expectations, lineups and more. Welcome back to the lead-in. Our third game in pre-season sees Chelsea travelling to Atlanta, Georgia to take on the Champions League bound Newcastle United at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the Premier League Summer Series. As usual, I'm going to be going through the lineups that I believe will play, including personnel and some tactics. So, without further ado, let's look at our opponents for this match. Newcastle have had a complete resurgence this last season, with them finally getting back some of that big club status they should have. Going from mid-table to into the top 4, admittedly with the help of some finances, they have been one of the teams to watch this last season, solidifying themselves once again as a titan in the Premier League. Last season, they beat us in November and then drew with us on the final day, in a game that we admittedly should have won, but let ourselves down with poor finishing, as was the case for the majority of that season. So there will no doubt be a reason to fight for the win and for our pride in this one. Out of all of the games in this pre-season tour, this is certainly the toughest test. They did so well in the league last year because of their absolutely impeccable defensive record, but so far in pre-season that has been slightly shakier than before, conceding 6 goals in 3 games, with 3 coming at the hands of Aston Villa last time out. They will be looking to right their wrongs from that draw and get their 3rd win of pre-season in their 4th game. So how will they plan on trying to achieve that? Let's look at the team. Newcastle, managed by the young but vastly experienced Eddie Howe, have shown a few different formations so far in pre-season, but as this game is their hardest so far, and they'll likely play a strong team, I believe the manager will put them into the formation they'll most likely use regularly throughout the season, some variation of the 4-3-3. Newcastle have built upon their already strong spine with a few excellent additions and a low number of impactful outgoings. First up in goal is a bit of a puzzling choice considering I just said that they'll play a strong team, Loris Karius. The reason I put him in here is because Nick Pope has only very recently joined the squad, so I don't think he'll be thrust into the first team immediately, and Dubravka just played the full 90 against Villa. This could very well be Dubravka again, and it wouldn't surprise me, but I think the manager will want to give everyone some minutes and rest players in order to avoid injuries. For the back 4, it's going to be a very strong one. Kieran Trippier is the obvious choice at right back, having only played 45 in the previous game. He's one of the best right backs in the entire league, so I see no reason for him not to start. For the centre-back partnership, it's going to be a very familiar one, with Fabian Schär and Sven Botman taking up those 2 roles. These 2 were a large reason Newcastle had so much success, both playing 36 games in the league and helping obtain the best defensive record, tied with City. They only conceded 33 goals in the league, which is well below a goal a game, which is pretty astonishing. Finally, for the left back spot, I'm going to be putting in Dan Burn over Matt Targett, as Targett played the majority of the 90 last time out, and Burn just has that weird knack of being really good against us, so I reckon he'll get the nod this time around. Moving into the midfield, this is where Newcastle's strengths really lie, with the ever-impressive Brazilian Bruno Guimaraes playing next to the newly acquired Sandro Tonali. As a unit, these 2 might genuinely be the best defensive pairing in the entire league on paper, so we'll have to see how they function together as they familiarise with each other in the coming days. The 3rd centre mid is hard to pick for me, because I originally wanted to put in Joelinton, who I do believe will play with these 2 for the majority of the season, but I'm actually going to go with the young Elliot Anderson because I think he might have forced his way into the team after a very decent showing against Villa. But as I said, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see Joelinton play, as that would genuinely be their strongest midfield trio. The 3 in attack are genuinely quite frightening with how shaky our defence was in the last game, with a very strong trio of Miguel Almiron on the right, the delightfully dangerous dribbler Alan Saint-Maximin on the left, and down the middle is Swedish star striker Alexander Isak. I think this is their most impactful attacking 3, but I do see the possibility of Callum Wilson playing in the middle, or even Anthony Gordon getting some minutes because he was very good for the England under-21s recently. The only other adjustment I could suggest is Harvey Barnes playing on the left, but personally I just don't see him getting in the starting 11 over Saint-Maximin. In terms of how Newcastle play, we know how dangerous they can be and how defensively astute they are. Their midfield and attack in particular has a lot of willing runners, so they opt to try and press the ball high up the pitch, force the ball into wide areas, and then smother the opposition to win the ball back. The thing that is so scary but so impressive about this Newcastle team is just that, they are a team, through and through, and though they do have individuals, for example Bruno Guimaraes, who is genuinely world class, their success is built on this collective mindset. They all work hard for each other, they all fight for each other, and they all fight for the Geordie crowd. I'm not going to go into every little nuance here, but I will touch on some main tactical features of this setup because I think they are super important to point out in preparation for this game. First and foremost, this formation almost always swaps into a 3-2-4-1 in possession, with a huge focus on beating the press, mostly just by giving the ball to Bruno and letting him play his way out of danger because he's so good at doing that, and then getting the ball to Kieran Trippier up high on the right hand side in order to play deep passes in behind for runners or deadly accurate crosses into the area. They trust Kieran to create chances on his own at times, and he's extremely risky in his pass selection in order to try and unlock defences. They can afford to do this because they don't need to convert loads of chances, 1 or 2 is enough because their defence is so strong. Not only that, but their energy and desire to win the ball back after losing it is so high that if a ball from him does go awry, they just hunt it down like a pack of wolves and get it back. Obviously they aren't just one-trick ponies, this team despite the clear structure is very fluid and dynamic, and the front line in particular swaps around and causes issues all across the front line. Alain Saint-Maximin on the other side provides some different looks for our defenders, being incredibly unpredictable and carving chances out of nothing. I think the danger men to look out for in particular in this one are the aforementioned Trippier and Saint-Maximin, but also Alexander Isak, who I think is going to absolutely explode this year in the Prem, after some really promising signs in the latter stages of the campaign last season. I said that Wrexham would be good from set pieces, I said that Brighton would be good from set pieces, but Newcastle United are on a totally different level from set pieces. They not only have so much height, I'm looking at you Mr. 6'7" Dan Burn, but they also have a great understanding of each other's positions, great organisation, and one of the best dead ball specialists on the planet in Kieran Trippier. I would almost be shocked if they didn't score a set piece against us. Now, from the Magpies to the Lions, let's talk about our boys in blue. But before we do, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 15k, and only about 5% of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you want to join that exclusive group and help us achieve that goal, hit that subscribe button and join the masses. Starting with the formation, I believe Poch will opt to remain using the 4-2-3-1. This is our main system, this is our best system, and it's the system that helps us incorporate the most number of star players in the team. I highly doubt that this will change for the foreseeable future. I will be putting us into one starting 11 again, but expect major changes at half time, as has been the case in every game of our pre-season tour so far. So first up, in goal is unfortunately Kepa Arrizabalaga again. I think he had a woeful game last time out and my heart says to not put him in this starting 11, but I know that Poch will remain using the most senior goalkeeper for such a tough test. Gaga Slonina is finally available for selection after returning from holiday, so I'd love for him to play, but I don't think he will. He may get some minutes off of the bench if we're lucky, but there's almost no chance he starts, which is unfortunate. For the back four, this will be a very strong one once again. Despite him only just returning from illness, Reece James is a must start in this game for me. We will need a strong defender in this role to deal with the tricky Saint-Maximin, and as Gusto has played so many minutes recently, I think he deserves a rest. However, I would not be opposed to seeing another left winger placed firmly in the Malo Gusto penitentiary, so if he does play, I look forward to seeing that. For the centre-backs, it's going to be the same pairing from last time, with Thiago Silva standing alongside the ever-impressive Levi Colwill. I said this in my match review, but I thought until the penalty, Levi had a wonderful game, and his long passing may be the key to unlocking this incredible Geordie defence. I think these two will be the pairing we go with for the start of the season, with Badiashile and Fofana out injured, so it'll be good to keep giving them the time to gel together and create a solid partnership. On the left is going to be Ben Chilwell. I think Ben did great offensively against Brighton, and though he's not always the best defensively, with Trippier bombing down that side, I think we'll opt to exploit that space in behind the Englishman with the runs of Chilwell in behind, in order to not only create chances, but to make Kieran play more defensively and limit Newcastle in the attack. For the midfield, we are likely to get a very exciting trio, with Enzo Fernandez starting his first game of pre-season alongside the Italian stallion Cesare Casadei. I put Cesare in here because he didn't play many minutes last game, and Andre Santos has played a lot of minutes and will likely be rested, at least for the first half. It will be great getting to see Enzo play from the start, and I'm intrigued to see if he gets to play with Santos if he comes on in the second half, as they are yet to share a pitch together. For the attacking midfielders, I'm going to be making wholesale changes from the last game. Noni Madueke has to start this game for me. We haven't seen him play at all so far, and he needs the minutes in his legs if he's to be fit enough come the start of the season. Diego Moreira is another candidate to start here, but I think he's more likely to come off the bench if he does play, as is the star Brazilian Angelo Gabriel. Over on the left hand side, I think this is a no-brainer. Mykhailo Mudryk has to start. He showed what he's capable of in that second half last time out, and I believe in earning the right to play. In comparison to Sterling, who had an awful game, he has certainly earned his place on that side. Not only that, but Misha clearly gained some confidence from that game and will want to keep him in that headspace. It would be counterintuitive to suddenly drop him to the bench after such a good performance. I'm not particularly fond of Maatsen playing there, and I wonder if Poch will change that idea up for this game. It worked against Wrexham because, well, it was Wrexham, but against the stronger side of Brighton and now an even stronger side of Newcastle, I don't think it works with him playing there, at least from the start anyway. For the central role, it's going to be Christopher Nkunku. Again, I don't think he will play as a cam, but more so like a second striker. He's scored 2 in 2 and deserves to start every game, and I hope that this can finally be the game where we get to see Nkunku play up top with the striker who definitely should start, Nico Jackson. I think Poch hasn't been playing these two together because he wants to rotate the striker role for fitness, and with Brozier not currently with the squad, Nkunku is the next best option for that role. But after he mentioned these two possibly playing together in an interview after the game, I think it's time to pull the trigger and let these two wreak havoc. This front four, if you like, is an incredibly promising attacking threat, and I'm excited to see if our impressive scoring record in pre-season continues against a much stronger defence. Now, as for how we will play, I think it's going to have to be similar to how we played against Brighton, and I'll touch on why it will in a second, but first, the comments of the day. I got a lot of good responses last time out, so here are some of the comments from the last question of the day. As always, thank you guys so much for the support, it really means a lot. But now, for today's question of the day, which player in this Chelsea team do you predict will be our player of the match, and why? Alright, so how will we play? Well, again, I have touched on the specifics of Poch's 4-2-3-1 in this video, which as ever will be linked in the top right corner and in the description for those of you using mobile devices, but I think we will have to slightly adapt the way we play for this one. Balls in behind are usually not a great idea against Newcastle because Nick Pope is such a good sweeper, but as I predict that he won't play, I think this is a great option for us. Schär, Botman, Trippier and Burn are not the paciest backline in the world, so I think that runs from Nkunku, Jackson and more specifically Mykhailo Mudryk, who genuinely might be the paciest player I've ever watched, are definitely an option for us. I don't think we'll get much if any success from crosses, and as Newcastle like to force the play out wide and solidify the middle, I could definitely see us struggling to create chances. That being said, I think we are going to have to find a way to utilise that quick one-touch play we've been doing with Jackson as the pinpoint, as this style of passing is so hard to defend against and might be the only way we can get past Newcastle's defence because going around the outside seems impossible. I think this is going to be a high scoring game despite the two good defences on paper. I expect that same level of energy from the Brighton game, and I think this is going to be ultra competitive as that game was. As always, I'll be live tweeting my reactions to the game during each and every match over on Twitter. No, I'm not going to call it X, Elon. So if you don't follow me over there yet, make sure you do so you don't miss that. For a score prediction, I'm going to say 3-2 Chelsea. I have massive confidence in this team, and I think they now have self-belief too, so I can't bet against us despite the great team that we come up against. That being said, I do believe we will concede goals because we are shaky defensively at times, and we're likely to have Kep attacks. I'm going to say that our goals come from Jackson and Nkunku, and as an odd shout, another goal for Conor Gallagher, though I wouldn't be surprised if Mudryk scored again, like a London bus. For Newcastle, I think Callum Wilson will get a goal. He always seems to score against us, along with a 30-yard thunderbolt from Bruno Guimaraes to put the pressure on in the final 25 minutes of the game. Don't forget to put your score predictions down in the comments. But that was just my lead-in match preview for Chelsea versus Newcastle. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these possible lineups in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from Mono CFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.